Which website platform should you use to create a website for your online business or portfolio or blog? Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down two website platforms, SHOWIT and WordPress, and discussing the differences between them so that you can be sure to choose the right website platform for your business long term. Before we get started, my name is Erica and I own a website design and development business called Seedling Studio, and I make videos like this one to help you manage the tech behind your online business. So consider subscribing if you haven't already because it really supports the channel, and leave a like on this video if you find it helpful. Let's get into it. If you don't already know, WordPress is a website software that's been around for ages, and about 40% of the websites on the internet are built on WordPress. So it's very powerful, it's very robust, and a lot of people use it. SHOWIT, on the other hand, is a newer platform, and it was created initially for photographers, but it's definitely taken over a lot of the creative entrepreneur space. So there's all sorts of businesses that will create websites on SHOWIT now. SHOWIT actually integrates with WordPress on some of their tiers so that you can use the blogging capabilities of WordPress in tandem with SHOWIT's platform. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be comparing 5 different aspects of these platforms: ease of use, cost, design flexibility, mobile responsiveness, and e-commerce. So let's get started first with ease of use. For SHOWIT, ease of use is really its main draw. It's a completely drag and drop platform, meaning you don't need to know how to code at all to create a website on the SHOWIT platform. When you're creating a website in SHOWIT, what you see on the back end is pretty much what you're going to see on the front end of your website. Everything in SHOWIT is created using a combination of text, rectangles, lines, images, galleries, and embed codes for adding external code or integrating external features. So even when you're creating like a contact form or a button in SHOWIT, it's all just rectangles and text. It definitely takes some getting used to, but SHOWIT is extremely beginner friendly because it is drag and drop. So you don't need to know how to code at all, and you don't really need to mess with any of the typical back-end functionality that you would have to mess with to create a website in the past. For WordPress, on the other hand, beginners tend to be pretty intimidated by WordPress, I find, but it's actually pretty easy to use once you get the hang of it. There, of course, is a learning curve to learning any new tool, but WordPress is not as scary or intimidating as people make it out to be, I don't think. If you're interested in learning how to use WordPress better, I did create a brief tutorial on how to use and navigate the WordPress dashboard, so be sure to check that out. The main difference between WordPress and SHOWIT is that out of the box, when you use WordPress, you're not going to see the front end version of your website on the back end. There are tools that you can use and install on WordPress, though, that make it more drag and drop and user-friendly, like page builder plugins or themes. Like the Divi theme is one, and the Elementor Pro plugin, which I'll leave links to below. Since WordPress has been around for such a long time, one of the advantages it has is that it's extremely well documented. So if there's anything that you want to know how to do on WordPress that you can't figure out, you can pretty much always Google it and someone will have created a tutorial or a walkthrough about how to solve the problem that you're facing. So overall, for the ease of use category, I would say that SHOWIT wins out, especially if you're a beginner. But keep in mind that if you are going to be having a blog attached to your website, you will need to learn the basics of WordPress anyway, because SHOWIT uses the WordPress blogging functionality to make your blog work. So while SHOWIT is easier, you may still have to learn some basics of WordPress if you go the SHOWIT route anyway. Now let's move on to cost. So typically when it comes to building a website, you have to have 3 ingredients to make your website work. You have to have a domain name, which is like the URL for your website. You have to have a hosting provider or a place where your website files are physically hosted on a server. And then the third piece is that you have to have the code or the platform that makes your website look and function the way that it does when people visit it. SHOWIT takes care of 2 out of 3 of these pieces for you in one subscription. So they take care of the platform, that third piece, and also the hosting. So when you buy a SHOWIT subscription, you're not only paying to use the SHOWIT platform, but you're also paying to host your website on SHOWIT's servers. The only piece of the puzzle that you'll need to buy outside of a SHOWIT subscription to make your website work is a domain name. SHOWIT doesn't currently offer those directly, but you can easily find a domain name using a service like Google Domains. That's what I recommend. And most domain names cost around $12 a year, so they're pretty cheap. At the time of this recording, SHOWIT's advanced blog tier, which is the highest subscription level you can buy, is $34 per month when you pay annually. This is the subscription level I'd recommend for most businesses who want to blog as a part of their business and marketing strategy, because with the advanced blog tier, you can add pretty much any WordPress plugin, while the tier below that limits you to just a handful of plugins that SHOWIT recommends and allows. So if you want to completely not have a blog attached to your SHOWIT website, then you're going to end up paying, I think, around $19 a month, and that's if you pay annually. Overall, in most cases, if you go with SHOWIT, your yearly fees for your website are going to be between $240 a year and $420 a year. Now moving on to talk about WordPress. WordPress itself, the software, is free to use and download, but you'll still need to pay for those other two pieces of the puzzle that I mentioned, so the domain name and the hosting provider. Hosting is really the variable cost here. The quality of your website host is one of the biggest factors in determining your website's overall speed and security and performance. So in this case, cheaper really is not always better. I would really recommend seeking out a very high quality website host if you're serious about running your online business. An affordable option that I recommend for hosting is SiteGround. It is a pretty high quality host. They have pretty good customer service, and I would recommend that to anyone who's just starting out and wants to kind of do it on a budget. A premium hosting option that I recommend is WP Engine. It's what I put all of my website clients on. They have hands down the best customer service of any hosting provider I've ever used, and that becomes really important if you ever have any issues with your website that you need to talk to someone about. So I'd really recommend going with WP Engine if it's in your budget. Another cost that you might have to factor in or consider with WordPress is if you're going to be using a premium theme or a page builder plugin or a page builder theme, because those tend to cost money. So those cost anywhere between, you can get a premium theme for as little as $50, and some of them go for as high as $1,000. So yeah, it just depends on which tools you're going to decide to use to help you build your website. So overall, the average cost of having a website on WordPress can vary between about $109 and $281. So this does make WordPress the cheaper option for the typical case, but you'll definitely want to see, do the math based on the tools you're going to need with WordPress and the subscription you'll need on SHOWIT to see if your case falls into that average. Next, let's talk about design flexibility. So with SHOWIT, as I mentioned before, it's 100% drag and drop. So there's not even a grid that you have to constrain your objects to. You can pretty much design anything on SHOWIT, well, within reason. Every platform has its design limitations, but with SHOWIT, you can really imagine a design and pretty much create it on the website as easy as it would be to create in a design software like Adobe XD or something with absolutely no code. So this might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually don't think that more design flexibility is always better. And this is why, because for designers, it's really nice to have that extra level of design flexibility without having to code it or to fuss with code to create something that you want your design to look like. But if you're a newbie or you have never created a website before and you're DIYing it, this level of design flexibility can actually be really overwhelming for some people, and it can kind of lead to some messy looking results if you're not careful. This is because there's no real set structure to pages when it comes to SHOWIT. So you have to kind of create the page hierarchy and the design from scratch, unless you're starting from a base template. But it can be really easy for things to become so flexible that you lose a sense of cohesion between the pages and the sections on your pages. That all being said, SHOWIT does have certain design limitations. So some features that you see on other websites are not going to be possible on SHOWIT, at least out of the box. So you might need to know how to code for certain things still. So moving on to WordPress. WordPress is plenty flexible in my opinion, but it does come with a caveat, and that's that it's only really as flexible as your development skills allow you to make it. So if you're brand new to WordPress development and you're not really sure how to create things, then of course that's going to limit your design flexibility. That is really made a lot easier with page builder plugins and themes like Elementor Pro and Divi. But if you're not going to use one of those, then it can sometimes feel a little bit rigid using WordPress. And for that reason, I think people tend to go for the more customizable ones if they want something that looks really custom, but they're not really sure how to code it. Overall, so SHOWIT does, in my opinion, offer more design flexibility than WordPress for sure out of the box, but I don't really think that's always a good thing. Moving on to mobile responsiveness. So your website should look good across all devices, especially now that everyone is pretty much on their phones all the time, looking at websites, looking at the internet on their phone. You got to make sure that your website looks good on mobile. So with SHOWIT, websites can't be considered fully responsive if they're built on SHOWIT, because fully responsive means that the content on your page adjusts dynamically with the width or the size of your window. And your content is not going to do that on SHOWIT. It's going to basically have two sizes, your desktop or laptop version of your website and then your mobile version. And it will flip-flop between those two depending on the size of the screen, but it won't really dynamically adjust the content as the window is shrinking or growing. One thing that I don't love about SHOWIT is that you have to design and develop the desktop and mobile versions of your website separately, which can be really time consuming. Basically, all the content that you add onto the desktop version of your website will appear on the mobile version, but not like laid out all pretty. It's just every single element is gonna stack one on top of the other, and you're gonna have to go in and design the mobile layout separately. On WordPress, it's going to depend on the theme that you're using, whether or not your website is responsive, but all modern themes on WordPress are responsive. So make sure if you're buying a theme online that it says that it's mobile responsive. Otherwise, that's going to be a total waste of your money. Unlike SHOWIT, the tablet and mobile versions of your website are going to kind of automatically generate themselves when you're building the desktop version. And then you'll just have to go in and make certain design tweaks depending on your specifications and how you want it to look on those devices. So it is a little bit easier and less time consuming to change or edit the mobile versions of your website on WordPress than it is on SHOWIT. So for that reason, WordPress wins in the mobile responsiveness category for me. Okay, the last category we're talking about is e-commerce. So for SHOWIT does not have any native e-commerce functionality built into the platform, but you can integrate SHOWIT with other external shopping carts like Shopify Lite or Thrivecart, and that's not too difficult to do. I will say it doesn't offer the greatest user experience, especially if you have a large shop or a lot of things that you're selling on your website. In that case, I really wouldn't recommend going with SHOWIT. And to be honest, I wouldn't recommend going with WordPress either. More on that in a second. But it does work pretty well if you were just selling a few products, like if you have a few digital products or things, then I might really recommend just using a Shopify Lite subscription, which allows you to put buy buttons on your SHOWIT website. So it is possible to integrate e-commerce into your SHOWIT platform, even though it doesn't offer maybe the cleanest user experience where everything is on your website. WordPress, on the other hand, can be converted really easily into an e-commerce site using the WooCommerce plugin. And also you can use integrated shopping carts like the ones I just mentioned for SHOWIT. The good thing about WooCommerce is that you can create an entire shopping experience natively on your WordPress website. So the user doesn't have to exit your particular website and leave to some external shopping cart. Everything can happen on your website with WooCommerce. I still wouldn't recommend building huge e-commerce stores this way, just because I think the best e-commerce platform to build a website on is Shopify. But if you're choosing between SHOWIT and WordPress, and you're planning on having a larger focus on selling products in your business online, then I would probably recommend going with WordPress and WooCommerce over SHOWIT. So WordPress did win out on a lot of those categories, but that being said, every single business is unique. And so I hope that this kind of helped you understand the differences between SHOWIT and WordPress. But if you're still confused about which one you should use for your business, I did create a quiz that can help you decide which website platform is the best one for your business. So I'll leave a link to that in the description. And of course, if you have any questions, then go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.